everybody. Welcome back. So today we're really excited to talk about this topic. We've been waiting just a little bit of time to bring it in, but we want to talk about plant medicine. This is definitely something that has shown up in my world a lot, and I'm finding that it's showing up in a lot of people's worlds. Plant medicine is anything ranging from psilocybin or your magic mushrooms, ayahuasca, sassafras. There's a lot of different ones out there. There are also plant medicines like THC and some of the other maybe uh, legalized types of medicine that people have used. We've used cacao. There's a lot of different medicines out there. But we wanted to bring this conversation to the table because we have a lot of thoughts about it, and there's a lot of information out there. And we want to share with you what we know and hopefully engage you guys on some level.
Yeah, so it's an expansive topic, right? And I'm not going to say that we're experts in a lot of the realms. I personally have not worked with a lot of the plant medicines that exist out there. I've just not been drawn into them. Um, but what we wanted to address was, from our perspective and experience, what's the journey to getting to use a plant medicine? Because there's such a fad right now, oh, if you're a spiritual person or you want to reach enlightenment, right, go to an ayahuasca retreat in Peru or Costa Rica or whatever. And there's a risk, though, in doing these things when you're not ready, but also when you're not in the right setting, with the right support, with the right integration. It can go sideways really fast. And so, to start the conversation, what is the pre work that needs to get done before you step into plant medicine? And I think for a lot of people, it's really the shadow work, like really looking deep at where you are in your journey. What are the things that are coming up that you need to work through, right? Maybe you've been struggling with addiction for a long time and you've not yet done proper therapy to help just unearth some of those layers. You're going to want to do that before you jump into plant medicine. And I get pretty triggered by, I see a lot of people promoting plant medicine to cure addiction. Okay, it can work profoundly well, but it's not the quick fix. You've got to be doing that prep work on the before doing the journey and after. It's a continual process of healing. And so, I had my awakening in 2020. In 2021, I was like, oh my God, I want to explore psilocybin. Like, this is cool. I wasn't drawn to any other psychedelics. I wasn't drawn to any other medicines. And it was 3 times in a row. The medicine was like, no, bitch, no, you're not going to have an experience because you got some work to do. And so I kind of let it go, and when I say that, people are like, well, maybe you didn't take enough. No, I did. And the medicine was very clearly telling me, like, this is not the time. So I speak that from personal experience as someone not yet understanding that I was bypassing, the journey of awakening and really healing is something we do for kind of forever. We're always unpacking things. But if you pull the trigger on this stuff too soon, it's not going to go super great. You might have something like me, which was a gentle, like little nudge, like you're not going to get much from this, or you could have a giant ass kicking and it could be a really, really negative experience. So I want to talk, Jess, kind of on your journey as well. Like, what are some of the things that you've done before plant medicine came into your experience, right? Like, what are some of the, whether it's therapies, personal development, other healing modalities? Like, let's talk about that first, and then we can dive more into the plants.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I have done a lot of things, a lot of things. So, okay, I'm going to just be really upfront here. I was diagnosed with depression when I was 13 years old. I was heavily medicated. I have been on at that time and still, I don't know, there's probably a lot of other types of drugs on the market, but I was on Paxil, Prozac, Zoloft, Seroquel, which is a tranquilizer of sorts.
Mhm.
I was on a lot of things all my adolescent life. When I was about 25 years old, I mean, keep in mind, I had children at the age of 22 and 25. I mean, talk about postpartum. I mean, I was really struggling, you guys. I wish I could show you who I was, but I'm not that same person anymore, but I have a memory of it. I did a lot of therapy. I did a lot of Western medicine approaches. When I was 25, after I had my son, I decided I really wanted to get off of that. I was starting to have that awakening. I was really starting to go, this isn't the pathway. There's something more here. I didn't know what it was. I started doing some of the holistic things, acupuncture, trying to get off the drugs. And I'm going to tell you, do not quit cold turkey. I quit cold turkey. That will mess you up real fast. I did, but I used acupuncture and I did some other things. That was early. I did a lot of talk therapy. I have some significant trauma in my life as well. And, big T, little t, all of it. I've done EMDR, I've done somatics, I've done yoga. I've of course done a lot of the journaling. I've done the name of it, the
Biofeedback, binaural beats.
there we go, binaural beats. I've done all that stuff. So I have done a lot of stuff, a lot of self-help, a lot of paid help, a lot. And there were still things I couldn't get underneath.
Right.
There were still things that would drive the vehicle in the background. And I would get advice from people, especially maybe in the religious world, of you're never going to heal until you forgive. And all I could think was, pardon my language, but fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
That is not true. I can't do that before I do this. And I think a lot of people feel that way. There are things that were deeply implanted in us that we can't even quite tap into. I've done a little bit of the hypnosis. I've done many different things over the years. That is not bypassing. So people might say, what is bypassing? That is not bypassing. All of that is seeking every single area that I can uncover about myself over, well, almost 20 years. That's 20 years of trying to peel back the layers of myself. I had never once considered nor had a desire to engage in any type of plant therapies before that. And I finally realized, Jessica, you have done all you can do on this realm right here.
Mm-hmm.
There is somewhere else you have to go.
Yeah. And you hit
And
the
that,
nail on
that's
the
what
head.
brought me there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what you want to see in someone's journey, is that you're seeking these things because here's the thing. Not everybody's meant to do psychedelics, plant medicine, any of this, okay? This is not, if you get the call, incredible, but not everybody does or is meant for it. And that's not to say it's an exclusive club of the cool kids versus not either, right? Like
Mhm.
it's a tool for deeper healing. And that's really my journey was not terribly different in the sense of prior to even 2021, same thing. I was doing a lot of the talk therapy. I had tried yoga. I had done stuff, several different types of like nutritional support. That was also kind of energetic, emotional. I had done Reiki. I had done hypnosis, and these things were helping. But there were a few things in my life, in spite of spending tens of thousands of dollars on interventions and all these different things and all these different modalities over time that like energetically I couldn't reach. And they were things that were like deeply affecting my marriage and my life. And, in spite of like cognitively knowing how to move through them energetically, there was trauma and still is some, so deeply embedded in my cells that I'm like, no amount of hypnosis can reach that, and that's really where I kind of started to have a little bit of an existential crisis with the work I do, because I would see clients who had astronomical results with the process. And then I would see others who are more like me, who was like, we would make movement, but then there was just stuff that was really deeply under the surface that almost as though like this steel door was surrounding it, you couldn't access. And, I kind of likened my psychedelic experience to be, um, the atomic bomb, it sounds violent. My experience was very beautiful with it, but it was kind of like the atomic bomb that blew through the doorway that allowed me access to those parts that were so far hidden. Um, that, that was what the tool was I was drawn to, right? Like, and it didn't happen, after 2021. I didn't have any desire. I was like, I will know when this calling happens. And when it happened this year, and it was aligned. It didn't feel like I was pushing anything. And I know I had done all the air quote right things. I meditate very frequently. I do a lot of other daily practices, grounding, I run, I do these other things that keep me um kind of in that mindset of healing and releasing. Yet, there were just some things that were very rooted in, post-traumatic stress, and things that I just didn't have the resource. There was no 3D resource that existed that was going to get me out of this, or help me transcend it rather.
Yeah. Some of the signs of that, I think they're important to note. So, if you've done a lot of the external therapies, and I say external because usually they're guided by other people, you're going through a physical experience, you're consciously aware of it on most of them, right? Unless you're getting into maybe some of the hypnosis and things like that. But your body, if you've never read the book, The Body Keeps the Score, your body can hold on to experiences. You might not even be consciously aware of them, or you might be. You may have had many. I had many of them that were very similar. And so it's kind of, I, it's hard because you might be highly aware of it too. So you might be unaware, but you might be highly aware. I was one of the people, I was highly aware. I understand what happened, but my body physically responds to the trigger. And it would come up in the weirdest places. So if you're dealing with that, it's going to create, I talk a lot about cognitive dissonance. It'll drive you nuts. I know what's happening. It's out of my control. My body is doing its thing anyways.
Yeah.
And it causes a reaction. It's a flight and a fight reaction. Oftentimes for me, it could be a freeze, it could be any of the F's, right? I might fawn,
Yeah.
freeze, fly. Recognize that, because if you have already worked with that and you're in that place of, I'm stuck, I'm like a pinball bouncing between this wall and this hard place constantly over and over and over again, this may be something to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens in the medicine, in my own experience, without diving deep into it, is that there's just this deep acceptance of it all. It's
Mm-hmm.
a deep acceptance of it all. And that is why it gets to be unearthed. Your body no longer is just, your ego's not protecting it. It's not being housed in there. It's just like, it's here. And you have to be ready for that. Because if you're not doing that thing where you're like, I'm still kind of wrestling here, and you haven't tried to approach it, if you haven't recognized that it's there, you're going to probably end up in a bypass situation, and you're going to think that was a really terrible journey.
Right. And I think, one of the things that many people don't expect, and if you're working with a great integration coach, they should be educating you on this. The medicine speeds up your lessons. So when you take the medicine, my experience has also been, even before you take it, it is working. You are going to be having things fly up, these deep shadows hitting you in the face, bring you to your knees. And you're like, oh my God, how is this happening and why? Um, it's preparing you. It's helping you energetically like shake loose those pieces that need to, or rather are requesting to be released. We don't have to hold on to them, but we don't always have the tools or know what they are, or it's not the right time. And so when you do your journey, you set your intentions and you're going to receive whatever you need to receive for your highest good. I am such a firm believer of that. And then after, you're going to experience additional triggers like, and it's going to feel like what the hell did I do here? As you said, this isn't working. No, it is. It's working exactly as it's meant to. And in those moments, I remember you coming to me after an experience and the exact things you were working on were coming up. Was it like a week after, a week and a half? And
Days, days.
it was incredible. And in that moment, and I'm probably not paraphrasing exactly, you recognize exactly what it was, and that was an opportunity to say, I can continue to act in the way I always have, respond in that way, react in that way, or I can take this moment to pause, transcend it, and choose differently. And that's the beautiful thing, I think, is that the medicine, gives us the space to do that rather than going right from trigger to reaction. It's trigger, pause, evaluate, respond. And then
Mhm.
that breaks those cycles, and on a neurological level, specifically psilocybin has been studied to basically what it does. And this is the non-scientific way of explaining it. It essentially creates like a scrambling of your neural pathways in your brain. So all the neural organization you've had that has wired you to all these triggers, all these traumas, all these ways of being kind of gets scrambled and then recalibrated. So, a week or two after a journey, you are in the prime state to decide how you want to respond, decide how you want to show up, decide how you want to rewire your brain. So those are the times where you freaking do a crap ton of hypnosis audios, whatever you want to create. Maybe you want to create safety in your body. Maybe you want to create an abundance mindset. Maybe you want to, do some deep forgiveness work, do hypnosis audios, do some meditations, do whatever it is that you need to do to program that brain, because you are primed. You are almost like a little child again with that open little sponge brain, just receiving, receiving, receiving. So also be careful who you're around. If you don't want to be around the energy of people that are negative, please don't, because that's going to also negatively influence your journey, and your post experience after. So, it's really powerful medicine, but it doesn't get you out of the work. It does not get you out of the work. It amplifies it, it brings it to surface, and you still have to do what you need to do to transcend it and move through.
It puts you into the work,
Mm-hmm.
is what it does. It offers you the opportunity to get into the work. We are really programmed to expect an immediate result, to Amazon Prime it. We go to the doctor, you maybe have a cold, and then you're that person, you go to the doctor and they give you the antibiotic or, whatever. That is not this. This is not that model of therapy. There will be extraordinary work that goes along with it. And so it deserves reverence and respect in that light. And I'm with you. It really bothers me because of who I am and everything I've had to do. It really bothers me when things are promoted as this is going to change your life. This is going to fix your problems. This is going to fix you. Nothing does that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing. Not even your deity can do that. They are still going to require you to do the heavy lifting.
Correct.
You're never going to get stronger if you're not willing to lift the heavy weights. So you have to be able to do that. And so I think the message here that we're really trying to convey, we know this is a topic that's being talked about. We talk about it. We are happy to be the guinea pigs with things. We do feel ready. We do feel like we've done a lot of the work to be ready to do it. But I think the greater message is, as this becomes something that's more spoken about, you may see it as being this fix all. I can bypass that deep, hard stuff. Trust me, don't do that. Go there. And I know it's uncomfortable. I know some of that stuff is bring you to your knees. You don't know where you're going to go or if you're going to come back, but do that first. Do that first. You will have a better relationship with the medicine when you go in, and you'll be able to do the work after if you can do it before.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. And you have to really be at a place where when you do the medicine, first of all, know who you're working with, know that you've got or create a safe and calming setting, but also be in a state of surrender, because the medicine will guide what you need to see and experience. And if you're sitting there in resistance and fear and anxiety, um, that is what leads to a bad journey, right? The medicine, I firmly believe it is not an aggressive or bad medicine, which is why I feel very called to work with it. I don't want to puke my brains out in a field, so ayahuasca doesn't call to me. People love it. There's other things that people do, and that's beautiful. They all have a place. They all bring their own energetic signature. But when you go into a journey, whatever it is, really have your intention be on receiving whatever lessons are in your highest benefit. And as things come up, you might have visuals that feel a little bit frightening. Lean into them with curiosity, like, oh, how interesting is that? If you feel sensations in your body, use your breath to ground you, right? Part of what happens when you journey is you can feel some what feels like anxiety, but it's just the body load of the medicine kicking in. And if you follow the thoughts of anxiety far, that you're going to put yourself in a thought loop of fear. So it really is okay, breathe through this. This is what's going to happen. Again, the proper integration coach should really tell you kind of what to expect as you're going through this process. But if you're someone who has really high anxiety and doesn't like being out of control, this is not going to be what you want right now. You have to have done enough work to at least trust yourself to be able to navigate this medicine. Again, it's not a mean medicine, but it's also not for those who think this is the quick fix. So,
Yeah,
and we'll
I
talk,
agree.
I think we'll talk in another episode about our own personal experiences, because it's worth understanding what got us to that point and how it went for us, and, to normalize this, because I really do think we are on the cusp of a revolution where these are normalized. These are normalized as modalities of healing. They've already done extensive research on MDMA and LSD for PTSD. There's been a ton of research on psilocybin and other things for healing traumas when done the right way. So I really think, this wave is going to come crashing in soon, and it is going to be normalized, and, nature gives us everything we need. And, when nature allows us to have the tools that tap into higher consciousness, oh my goodness, what a blessing. Like, what a cool thing to be able to utilize. So,
Yeah. Yeah. When we start to think of it as medicine, it is what we need, but at the right time, just like any other medicine, it's at the right time. But this is on a whole different timeline of events. So yeah, great topic. I can't wait to dive deeper into this one later.
yes. All right. You guys have an awesome day. Thanks for tuning in.
See you guys.